Hi, my name is Maurice Murray, and this is for Comm 115 Public Speaking. The subject of this speech is a commemorative speech on Malcolm X. Let me start by asking you if you've heard any of these, and if so, who spoke them? A man that stands for nothing will fall for anything. If you have no critics, then you'll likely have no success, and by any means necessary. These are the words and quotes that were said by Malcolm X. All of them touched me deeply when I was just a kid and really inspired me to learn more about the man. At the time, I hadn't heard that he was considered militant. At the time, I hadn't heard that he was considered an extremist. At the time, I hadn't heard that he was a racist. Actually, at the time, I hadn't heard very much about the man at all. Well, learning about Malcolm X proved to be much harder than I thought it would. In most of the libraries, there's tidbits here and there, but nothing of real substance. There was information on just about anything else I could want to read, but I only found one book on Malcolm X. It was the autobiography of Malcolm X, as told by Alex Haley. In this book, I learned of a boy named Malcolm Little that saw the effects of racism when his father was beaten and body left on the train tracks to die. I read how he was taken from his mother, 7 brothers and sisters, placed in foster care, and that during his teen years he became a hustler, running numbers and breaking into homes stealing to survive. While serving 7 years of a 10-year sentence, and getting off of drugs, Malcolm's eyes were open to the books that he read every day and on the Nation of Islam. Malcolm read just about anything that he could get his hands on, and as a matter of fact, it was believed that since he read so much in jail, which had poor lighting, it caused him to have to wear glasses. The book which captured him the most and possessed him until his dying day was the Quran, given to him by a brother of the Nation of Islam, also imprisoned. Elijah Muhammad, the head of the Nation of Islam, consumed Malcolm, once again opening his eyes, this time to religion, which was far from his life in his younger years. While reading this and knowing very little about religion myself, I saw some of the same appeal that Malcolm X had described in the book. Malcolm became a great speaker while preaching the word of Mr. Muhammad and the Quran, and eventually assumed the role of number 2 within the nation. It was this that the other ministers within the Nation of Islam despised Malcolm, his role, his leadership, and his relationship with their leader. It was also around the same time that the Nation of Islam began to turn their back on Brother Malcolm, sending him into exile, forbidding him to talk to anyone in the nation or the media. Malcolm decided that since he couldn't speak, he would take a journey to Mecca, which is something that true followers of the Muslim religion are told to do at least once before death. During this trip, he learned that he had been taught and taught himself to others in the nation the wrong ideas. They were all false, lies, based on information that was told to him directly by Elijah Muhammad. When he returned, he decided to break away from the Nation of Islam and start Muslim Mosque Inc. With this divorce from the nation, brought about an opportunity for Malcolm to really work towards human rights for African Americans in the United States. He was willing to join forces with other civil rights leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he no longer opposed to work with Caucasians, as he had sat down with many of them as well as other races during his travels. And they all had the same beliefs that he did. This new Malcolm really never got a chance to show the world that people can change. He was killed, shot down with his family present in New York before giving his last speech. To me, it takes a great man to overcome what Malcolm endured. It takes a great man that is willing to not only stand up to those that are against his ideas, but to stand up alone. It takes a great man that knows that death is coming sooner than later, but still fights on because he knows that it's necessary. To me, Malcolm X was a great man. In closing, I would like to read the eulogy that was given by actor and activist Ossie Davis on February 27, 1965, as Malcolm X was mourned by thousands in the Faith Temple Church of God. Here at this final hour, in this quiet place, Harlem has come to bid farewell to one of its brightest hopes, extinguished now, and gone from us forever. For Harlem is where he worked and where he struggled and fought, his home of homes where his heart was, and where his people are. And it is therefore most fitting that we meet once again in Harlem to share these last moments with him. For Harlem has ever been gracious to those who have loved her, have fought for her, and have defended her honor even to death. It is not in the memory of a man that this beleaguered, unfortunate, but nonetheless proud community has found a braver, more gallant young champion than this Afro-American, who lies before us unconquered still. I say the words again as he would want me to. Afro-American. Afro-American Malcolm, who was a master, was most malicious in his use of words. Nobody knew better than he the power words had over the minds of men. Malcolm had stopped being Negro years ago. It had become too small, too puny, too weak a word for him. Malcolm was bigger than that. Malcolm had become an Afro-American, and he wanted so desperately that all of us, his people, would become Afro-Americans too. There are those who would consider it their duty as friends of the Negro people to tell us to reveal him, to flee, even from the presence of his memory, to save ourselves by writing him out of the history of our turbulent times. Many will ask what Harlem finds to honor in this stormy, controversial, and bold young captain, and we will smile. Many will say, turn away from this man, for he is not a man, but a demon, a monster, a subverter, and an enemy of black men. And we will smile. They will say that he is of hate, a fanatic, a racist, who can only bring evil to the cause for which you struggle. And we will answer and say to them, did you ever talk to Brother Malcolm? Did you ever touch him or have him smile at you? Did you really listen to him? Did he ever do anything that was mean? Was he ever himself associated with violence or any public disturbance? For if you did, you would know him. If you knew him, you would know why we must honor him. Malcolm was our manhood, our living black manhood. This was his meaning to his people, and his honoring him, we honored the best in ourselves. Last year from Africa, he wrote these words to a friend. My journey, he says, is almost ended, and I have a much broader scope than when I started out, which I believe will add new life and dimension to our struggles for freedom and honor and dignity in the States. I'm writing these things so that you will know for a fact the tremendous sympathy and support we have among the African states for our human rights. The main thing is that we keep a united front, wherein our most valuable time and energy will not be wasted fighting each other. However, we may have differed with him or with each other about him and his values as a man. Let his going from us serve only to bring us together now. Consigning these mortal remains to earth, the common mother of all, secure in the knowledge that what we place in the ground is no more now a man, but a seed, which, after the winter of discontent, will come forth again to meet us, and we will know him then for what he was and is, a prince, our own black shining prince, who didn't hesitate to die because he loved us so.